All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Hope you guys all doing well. Thank you for coming. This is our first worship electric guitar workshop. We just did a bass workshop a month ago, and this is just the beginning of a whole series of workshops that we're providing for our church and also for those that are coming from other churches as a free resource. So, why don't you just open up in prayer? Thank you, Jesus, for giving us all these gifts that you've given us, and we ask God that you would begin to just strengthen our gift in our electric guitar playing. I pray, God, that we can use these gifts, God, to glorify you, God, in each and every way, with our attitudes, with our hearts, with our fingers, and our musicality. We just want to lift you up and give you the highest glory and the highest praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Well, once again, I just want to welcome everybody, and just want to let you guys know that I'm so excited, so happy to have Mark here to teach us today. And not only is he a great guitar player, because if he was just a great guitar player, there are many other great guitar players, but he also has a huge passion to raise up people and to teach the next generation. That's why I invited him here today, and so. He comes all the way from Italy, and we're so excited that he's here today. So let's welcome Mark Palazzolo.
Thank you, Donovan. How is everybody, huh? Good? Good? How are you? Good to see you. I see a lot of familiar faces and some new folks. So why don't you guys come on up a little bit and kind of like maybe come like right here in the middle or so. We'll kind of get into this. Oh, see, see, you hear that? For the camera guy, I play to this. That's my other guitar player. So, anyways, very humbling and an honor to be here. Thanks, Ed, for having me here today. We got a nice little group here today, and we're going to go through a bunch of different things today. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to open up with a song. How many of you ever heard of Tommy Walker before? All right, Tommy Walker, you guys probably do some of his songs in your different worship teams. So we're going to kind of just, we're going to use a bunch of different songs today to illustrate a lot of what I've got down here below my feet, and we'll show that and get into that a little bit. So we're going to kind of open up with the song Breakthrough, just kind of go through the progression so you can hear kind of a little bit of an intro idea of how to use some different effects and things like that. Then we're going to go into a little teaching session. I got a little quick PowerPoint, just some things to talk about as far as your role on a worship team, the whole bit. And then from there, the last part, the third part, will be going in actual practicalities of different effects and things like that. So anyways, we'll have a little short break at one point. So, and excuse my little nasally thing. I had a surgery about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, so we're still recovering on that, but no more sinus infection, which is great. So anyways, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of give you a little flavor of how you use a couple different like clean effects with some different delays and swell patches and things like that. And the theme today is not only that and what you do here with different tones and things, but the one thing we need to remember, and we're going to say this, so you may want to go ahead and write this down at some point, is very simply this. Let me find it here. Go to my last slide. It's key. We're talking about the presence of Jesus when we do worship. And this is the biggest thing that I impart on our team for every member. It doesn't matter if they're a drummer, guitar player, bass, keys, singers, whatever. The thing that we need to remember, the goal and the focus of what we do, and today we're talking about guitar, is that we exist and are the vessels to set the platform to create an environment in order for the people to encounter the physical presence of Jesus. That's our role. You'll see that a little bit later on, and you can write that down at that point. But that's kind of what we're here for today, and what we're really here to talk about. Yeah, you're going to see and hear some cool little effects and all this and that, but it's how you use them in order to usher in the presence of Jesus. That's what it's all about. And because we glorify Him when we're on the platform, it's not about, oh wow, what a cool little lick we played or whatever. Okay, so that's kind of what the whole emphasis of this workshop is today, and the crux of the whole thing, and how we use this to help the worship leader lead the people, because that's the other big thing. You can keep playing if you want, like that. In order again, to usher the presence of Jesus in so we can lead the people, so they can have that moment in time with him. We're so busy in our lives, right? We're going crazy with work stuff, day and night, doing spreadsheets, doing whatever, writing charts, whatever it is we do for a living. You might be a computer tech person since we're here in Silicon Valley, okay? But we got to take some of those times to have his breath just breathe on us. So that's kind of what we're going to go into today, okay? Does that make sense? You guys this is interactive, so you can go, yeah, and say amen or whatever. You have questions, man, just blurt them out, okay? So we're here just to have fun and learn the whole bit, okay? All right, so we're going to do a little bit of this breakthrough, okay? So we're going to illustrate here. This is a patch I have, and I'll go into what we've got on the floor here in a minute. This is a little swell patch today that we use in a lot of worship stuff. You see how he used it both in like a rhythm context and also a lead context. But some of the other things that you have a lot to do here on the guitar. Okay, so when you kind of take a look, first of all, when I started, okay, I went, and then I muffled it because this particular patch kind of rolls over itself with the delay. Okay, so I'll just very gently. But you heard with the band how it just gives a whole different dynamic to the song. So go ahead and start that again, just you guys all together, the three of you guys, and then you'll see how the guitar, when you bring it in, just adds that flavor and that coloring, again, in order to start ushering the presence, okay? Because now we're bringing in a peaceful moment, especially when we get to the worship part of our morning or afternoon, whatever your service is. And the other thing you'll notice, I was moving my hand this way. So when I'm down over my pickups, it's kind of a nice bass here. And now I'm going to go to the very edge, right by the bridge. See that little bitey, crisp, trebly sound? Then I'll use some lead. Playing very simple things, not a lot. So see, the cool thing about effects, let the effect, and I'll say this a lot today too, let your effects do a lot of the work for you. That's a really cool patch. There's so many different things depending on where you are on the guitar, how you arpeggiate, that's when you take a chord and you hear how you letting the effect do all the work. I'm just playing three notes. For a different tone. Okay? All I did was move the hand. Now, this particular guitar, I had built special for worship, this whole deal here. So you see it kind of looks like a standard Fender type guitar. The difference is this knob right here in the middle pops up and down. So I can go like this, or I can change that tone. A little brighter. I'll push it down, go to my next position. A little different tone. Now I'll do another one. And I'm going to go to the middle. More of a countryish type feel as I keep going. So I use different tones also to create that whole environment. Okay, that's what we want to do, is create that environment to allow God to move in that, and also to allow that worship leader that you're supporting with what you're doing. I always go by the rule, and Cedric and I have talked about this, less is more. You know, if you take a look at what we're playing very simple stuff. Again, because it's about Him. We need Him to move, not only in the people, but sometimes it's also for us as well, okay? So, anyway, so why don't you guys take...
I want to demonstrate real quick, but it'll sound like we just all played a lot of stuff.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay, I'll do more of like a... Yeah, I'll use this patch here, yeah. Okay, yeah, let's just use that same chord progression again, okay? All right. 1, 2, 3, and... See, it was all mumble jumble. Now let's do it again. That's a great illustration. Thank you. Now let's do it again how we did it before. Ready? With tempo. 1, 2, 3, and. See, I'll use a lot of sustain too on the note. This particular one, I get like a whale sound, which is a really cool effect. Like 2 notes. 1. Now go into the actual song right here. Now imagine that, setting it up. Breakthrough, breakthrough all my doubts. Breakthrough. Breakthrough all my fears, breakthrough like only you can do. All right, go ahead and stop right there. See, I hardly played anything. I let the effect do a lot of the work. See how it created that whole atmosphere of the band right there? Okay, make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, any questions so far? Or we'll kind of, yeah, go ahead. Huh? That patch on this particular, the effects, I use a multi-effects unit. It's called a Digitech RP350. I spend a lot of time editing stuff. It comes with presets and everything, and one of my students here, Gabe, he has an older model. I forget your model number. It's a Digitech. He has a lot of the similar patches. But the cool thing with a multi-effects system like this is you can go in and edit. It comes with a whole slew of different amplifiers, different EQs, you name it. It's got just a whole bunch of different stuff in it. They make them for bass also. This particular unit, I think, is about $300 now, because they've got a lot higher end units where you can stomp boxes. I mean, there's a lot out there. So, but then other people will have a lot of just like Boss effects pedals. Will have a delay pedal. They'll have a distortion pedal. They'll have a reverb pedal. They'll have all sorts of different things. This, however, has all the reverb, all the different effects and stuff, so you can model it and build tone however you want. Yes, go ahead.
Is that one component that does all the different effects?
Yeah, I use one component.
Okay.
I don't know if you can maybe get what I have down here on the floor.
I'll take a shot in a bit.
Oh, okay, great. So what I've got down here, let me see if I can undo this mic.
It looks like you have a lot of stuff up there.
Yeah, let me kind of explain what I've got down here. Let me put the guitar down. You guys can take a little break because, what are you laughing at over there?
No, I think
He always makes, Cedric always makes fun of me. He's like, oh yeah, here he comes with the trunk again. Why don't you mute this mic just for a half second? All right, so what I've got down here, this board's pretty big. It comes with a whole flight case and everything. So I'll kind of, oh, okay, great. Here comes the camera guy. So I feel like that guy in that commercial. Hey, camera guy, the ShamWow. You ever seen that little ShamWow? Hey, camera guy, look at this right here. So what I've got down here,
too bad they can't see the broadcast.
yeah, that's okay. So what I've got, I actually can run 2 guitars on this system. Let me move the stand for you guys over here. So this half over here, they're separate power. Okay, so I have 2 power strips. The one that's over here, which is my left, if I'm looking at it, which would be your right. This is for my acoustic guitar. I have a tuner. I have a Boss GE7 EQ. Tuner's right there. The tuner links into that, so I have a preamp built into that, or the preamp comes with the pedal, very small preamp. So I pre-EQ right there. Yes?
There's not that many of us here. Can we just gather
Yeah,
around?
why don't you guys come on, gather around? Absolutely, come on up. Okay, so I have two what we call Dunlop DC power bricks. Okay, well, this one's lit up here, this one's not. Okay, this power brick here runs all of this right here off of this strip. This I use for my acoustic guitar. So I plug into there, tuner through into the EQ. So I pre-EQ. Then I come into a Boss acoustic processor, which has built-in reverb and built-in chorus, so I don't have to worry about another chorus pedal. It's all built in. Then it has an anti-feedback, which you activate by tapping the button, and then you can change the frequency of it. Then there's a bottom and top, depending on the type of acoustic guitar sound you want, and you can adjust it. So I have all mine preset, and then for the chorus, you activate it just by stepping on that. Then this thing is made by Art. It's actually a vocal preamp. So this system's a little unique because there's a mini little preamp in your EQ, because when you turn your EQ on, you notice you get a little boost. This has a mini preamp in it, and then this is about a 30-watt preamp. The reason why I use this is it has a miniature tube in there. So if you kind of remember some of the old Fender guitar amps, like the old twin reverbs, they were all tube amps. Those are still the best amps around. I mean, they just have a nice warm sound and the whole bit. So it's got XLR, so it acts just like a direct box. So then all you have to do is, like how we are here today, or when I play in Morgan Hill or here at the campus, XLR cable right into there, and you're good to go. And then the sound guy's got you. Okay, so that's that half. This half, where you see everything lit up today, this is what I use for my electric guitar. So I come into the tuner, another Boss tuner, another EQ, GE7. From there, I come into the RP350, made by Digitech. Then from there, I run into the preamp again. I've got another one, another power brick, separate. So I have the power separate, so you don't have any feedback. I did this because I got tired of hauling amplifiers around. I have what they call frozen shoulder. So yeah, so it's bad. It still bugs me when I play acoustic guitar. But I did this also because I do missions work. Go to the Philippines, and each night when we play at different churches, there's different bands. I have the same keyboardist. Other than that, it's a different set of singers, everything every night. There's always an acoustic guitar player. So I just have him plug into there. Oh, yeah, he didn't have to worry about anything. And then I run the electric. So this here is the multi-effects. So if you can get in on this, see all these different like lights. If you guys want to come in a little bit closer, on this particular patch, you'll see these little lights that are lit up here. These are the different effects that are used in this particular patch. You see, as I move to this next patch, 3 of the lights went away. So we'll go back. There you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lit up. This one, there's only 4. Every patch is different. That one, almost all of them are lit up. And I'll go through a lot of these, and we'll use some different songs so you can kind of see how this all works today. The neat thing, there's an edit feature right here, so you can go right through. And the neat thing with the RP350, you can choose the type of pickup you want. So you want like a Gibson type sound or a Fender sound or whatever. It's got all that. Wah-wah effect, depending on that, if you want the wah. Has a compressor. Distortion, and when you get into distortion, as you go through using the tone library, you can pick all sorts of different distortions from like a old British rock sound to more of a heavy metal sound or whatever. They're all built into here. And you just go right through it. Then there's amp. There's an amp A and an amp B. I think there's like 40 different amplifiers if I remember correctly. Vox amp, twin reverb, whatever you want in there. Then there's an EQA and an EQB. Gate, noise gate, if you want that on or off. Then there's chorus and effects. Then there's a section for a delay, a section for reverb, and there's a bunch of different reverbs, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And that's it. And then there's a drums section, because it has some pre-done drum loops in there. So that's how you can go through, and then you can go through and edit how loud you want the effect, how soft you want it, so on and so forth. And so I have 29 different effects for worship. Then on the guitar that I had built, as you saw, and I'll illustrate it more in a little bit after we go through some of the PowerPoint, all the different tones. You saw how I went through the different tones and how they are used on each one of the effects. And they're used differently. Some you want maybe more of a rhythm, not quite as a trebly sound, so on and so forth. Again, it depends on the song you're doing, what you're trying to create at that moment in praise or worship, okay? So that's basically how I run it. And then this little doodad right here, the XDR1, that's actually my wireless. I'm using a wireless setup today, and then the little wireless packs right on the guitar. It was a new digital one that came out, so you don't have to have the whole rack mount with the antennas. It's all right there, and you can go about 50 feet away from it. So it's pretty slick. Yeah, it came out several years ago. So most of the time I plug directly in. So does that make sense? So that's the board that I've got right there.
So you use a noise suppressor from the digital unit?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Some patches I have compression on, some I don't. Just depends on the sound I want. I spend a lot of time. I stand up. I'm getting too old to kneel down. I spend a lot of time editing sounds. We're doing a Jesus Culture song tomorrow down on our Morgan Hill campus. And I really like the sound of it's called Rooftops that we're doing, and I really like the tone of his guitar. I didn't have anything like that. So I took one of my distortion patch and I just started going through all that stuff until I got that tone. And then I figured out which position on the guitar I'm going to use. I spend a lot of time editing. But again, the reason why is because I'm engaged. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit as soon as I catch my breath from being done on my knee. And that's the important thing. Again, what are we doing? We're setting the platform very good to usher in very good, right on, okay? That's our role as a guitar player. Now, sometimes I have double duty because I also lead worship from time to time. So we're blessed. We have another worship leader down there. He leads most of the time, so I default into the band director position. But then there's other times where I am the band director and the worship leader. So that's why I spend a lot of time, because I'll use a lot of the same sounds, like for the intro for like You Are Good, Friend of God. I have kind of the same patch, so you kind of know what you can use where. And the other thing, like on my charts, I'll just put the patch number so you don't have to think, oh, we're doing this. Oh, it's patch such and such. And then maybe for the bridge on Friend of God, where it mellows down, maybe you go to like that swell patch, and I'll show you some clean delay patches and other stuff. But I spend a lot of time thinking about what it is I'm going to do throughout the songs. And we work on this stuff at rehearsal too. How is it that, again, we can create that moment to usher in Jesus? Because you heard when we were kind of just playing all over each other, it was just real garbled. I mean, we have those sounds every day in what we do. Here we're trying to take that away and simplify it so we can hear God's word and what he wants to speak into our hearts. okay? So does that make sense? All right, cool.
So with
Yeah.
the multi-effect unit,
Mm-hmm.
can a lot of all this other stuff be replaced by something they can do on this thing, on your multi-effect?
Oh, you mean like just not using?
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
Equalizers, has compressors.
Yeah, it has EQs in it. So technically, you like Janine, who plays here at the main campus, phenomenal guitar player. She has, I forget what, I think hers is a DOD. She has another multi-effects. It's a little bit bigger than this, and just like this one, this has an XLR direct out. I just chose because of kind of the tones and different sounds that I wanted. Plus with the tube, I really like that warmth of that tube. If I took all that away, this would sound totally different. So that's why I'm pre-feeding EQ. I have kind of a set EQ. I like how my guitar sounds going into it. Then I'm EQing it again just to enhance it more. Because it would sound different even if I just turned the EQ off versus leaving it at that. And plus that gives it just a little extra preamp kick. So again, it's preference, kind of what you hear in your head and also in your heart too, okay? This is just how I chose to do it. Plus it's easy, it goes in a nice little flight case. I can throw it on an airplane and off I go. Put the guitar up above, I don't have to worry about anything. Just gotta run a power cable, XLR cable in, and I'm done.
So if I wanted to, say, build my own, like, how do I go about even starting? Like, what do I just think about what kind of sounds I want, and then do I take it to someone that can, but hey, you need to get this one, this one, this one, and
Exactly.
how
Yeah, you
how-
could
how
go
do I get
to,
that?
yeah, what I did was, I used to use a Les Paul, but again, with the frozen shit, that thing's like carrying a complete oak tree around your neck. It sways so much, so unfortunately it sits in the closet now. So I had this, some of the tones kind of set. I had that guitar kind of redone several years back because I loved it so much because a Les Paul has such good sustain. I mean, you can just sit on a note and it'll just ring and ring, and that's why some of the big time guys like the Peter Framptons and all that, that's all they ever use. So I kind of had some of these beginnings in the lower end of the number bank geared for that guitar, but I had that guitar kind of redone, so on the lead pickup, because that's mainly a lead and a rhythm pickup, 2 pickups, I had it completely rewired and redone. So the lead pickup, I had a splitter switch so I could do a single or double coil to kind of get a Fender sound, but also bleed it in with the nice bottom fat sound that a Les Paul gives. But then, like I said, it started getting so heavy, I'm like, ugh. So what I did, I took a CD with 7 songs on it to a guy, Keith Holland, in Los Gatos. And I said, here's the CD, here's my effects unit, and I wrote down what patch was what. I did a lot of pre-work on this. And I said, I need something lightweight. And based on these patches, I need a guitar that can give me the tones, that doesn't weigh a ton, that sounds like all guitars, rhythm and lead on these songs. So that's how I approached it. You know, again, I forget his name. He plays lead guitar for Tommy Walker. Jerry's his bass player. I forget. I met him several years back at when Breakthrough came out, and that whole tour he did. That's what gave me the idea to actually build a board. He had a board that was twice the size of this, and they were all different pedals. So you can go that route. He used I forget, it's a light blue pedal. It's like a blues drive. A really nice distortion, but a clean distortion, not a real like metal, not a heavy metal. And he did the same thing, and that's kind of where I got this whole idea and started learning, was from him several years back, and how to approach this whole thing. And then he used just a small little like 60, 70 watt tube amplifier that he mic'd, because that's how he chose to do it. So again, it's kind of preference, but you could go to like a guitar shop, like a Guitar Showcase or a Guitar Center, and just try all the DOD makes some really nice effects too. So you just go through and try them, you know, and you can play around with them in the stores and edit them and do stuff like that. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions at all, or?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of guitar players have a signature sound based on their effects.
Mhm.
And I find it very hard to go out there and actually figure out what it is that they're using to get that sound.
Right.
It's because there's infinite possibility of variations.
Yep.
And
Exactly. Exactly. Peter Frampton's a great example. I know he's a secular guitar player, so excuse that on the tape. But I grew up listening to Peter Frampton, and I was talking to John. He would run sound here. Is that right, Cedric? John?
John Simpson.
Yeah, John Simpson runs sound here at the main sanctuary. I actually have a patch that I took a long time to edit because I love that sound. That sounds just like his lead guitar with the delay and all that. What John told me, and it goes right to your point, he is like a master scientist when it comes to guitar. He actually has, I forget what he called it now, but it's drilled down to every string on every guitar. I mean, these guitars are specially built. And then he has a whole rack gear of different effects and stuff. And he's got what they call a stomp box. His would just look like a bunch of different buttons with numbers on it. It's all over on a rack system, totally different than this here. But he has it fine-tuned, and each string is EQ'd a certain way, every string. That's why his, like you say, his sound is a signature. Nobody else sounds like him at all. Van Halen, same type of thing. A lot of these guys have spent a lot of time doing stuff like that. Now there is one, and there's a couple effects, but there's one particular one. It's made by a company called Fractal, Fractal, I think is how it's spelled. It's out of Europe. Very, very expensive, but they literally have, like on keyboards when sampling came out, you're like, oh wow, I hear birds, I hear ocean, I hear sampling. This particular product has sampled all the great guitar players. So you can just, you have a MIDI cable with a whole foot switch thing. You can just call up all those sounds. Lincoln Brewster, great worship leader over in Sacramento area, he uses that. Plus he has another whole set of, besides, because he kind of has a signature sound of his own, but he is one of the endorsees of that particular company, so he uses that. It's about a $3,800 unit. It's a rack mount unit. That's my dream unit. And I can just, but yeah, it has a whole section with all, like if you want a Stevie Ray Vaughan, you just bring it up. There it is.
It's all preloaded, or?
All preloaded. But then it has another whole section where you can, like what I've done here, you can edit and make all your own sounds or use those sounds and do different things. Like this comes with 45 presets. I took most of the presets and I just edited them. And I'll sit there with a set of headphones, one on, one off, like the song we're doing tomorrow. I wanted that exact tone. I love that tone of that Jesus Culture song. So one on, one off, and I got my little thing, and I'm just sitting there just tweaking. Probably took, I've gotten very proficient now, so it doesn't take as long, but when I first started, it would take me up to an hour. The Frampton one took me about an hour and a half to do. And it's not exact, but it's pretty darn close. So, again, it's all putting time into, and a lot of people say, why are you spending so much time on that? Well, that's my passion. Right now I have a full-time job in the transportation industry, but my passion is this. And that's why I'm here today to pour into you guys and to talk to you guys about this, because hopefully wherever you're playing, that's your passion too, is to serve a mighty God, because he's blessed us with whatever it is, wherever we live right now, whatever he's given us in each of our lives. Okay? That's why I'm here today. I'm glad you guys are here today. You're here because you were called to be here today, because obviously there's something that you want to learn. It might be just one little 10-second thing I say today. But if that takes you to another level in your walk with him, and what you're doing is you're doing different things, and how you serve, and this would be kind of a good segue into kind of what I want to talk about today. And we'll just spend a few minutes on the PowerPoint, but I want you to really think about your role and what it is you do. I mean, there's people from, how old are you? 14? 14. Great little bass player with our Spanish ministry right here. All the way up. 76 years old right here.
Come on.
Right here. I was going to hopefully not do this without crying today, but this man is, yeah, go ahead and keep playing, thank you. Is very, he's very special. He's a very, very, very special man. We played together at another church, And yeah, I could do all this cool stuff. I use it on Sunday morning. He's our lead guitar player, not me. Remember what I told you when you joined? He always calls me the maestro. We call him the hitman. We're all getting nicknames down there. Guy's a phenomenal, phenomenal guitar player. Went through a little bump with some things at another house of worship, we'll put it that way, right? He was down a little bit. And he showed up when we first started in Morgan Hill. He's like, well, I'm just kind of looking around. And I said, Hitman, remember that? I took that little quarter we started, Morgan Hill campus started in a movie theater. It was kind of weird, man. It was like so dark. You smell the popcorn and the hot dogs. And that was right when worship started, so I'm like starving. And then you hear the bombs of some Terminator 17 version next door, whatever. But he and his wife were searching at that time, you know. And I took a little penny or whatever. I said, what did I do? Remember that? I said, kind of dug an X in the floor of the theater. I said, there's always a spot. Because we were looking to build a team. And I said, there's always a spot on this team for you. But it's not this team, it's God's team. That's what it's all about. It's God's team. We're part of God's team. We're part of his army out there. Right? Think about who always went first to musicians. Right? And I'll refer to this in a minute, but you know what? I kind of think of it in a sports sense. Think about any time before any game, Super Bowl, whatever. When you turn the TV on like a couple minutes before, like a half hour, what do the athletes always do? Before they play the game, it's a three-letter word, starts with the letter P. Pre-game. Okay? They're both very, very, very important. But I look at us as the pregame because we're the first ones out. Just like they go through their routines, you know. They run their reps, they do this, they do that. But we're the pregame, setting up what again? You got it down. To usher in the presence of Jesus. See, we're just a vessel. That's all it is. But this man is very special. He's our lead guitar player. I've played a lot of leads and solos over my time. I don't need to do anymore. You want to think about how you can build others on your team. You may not be the band director. You might just be a bass player, a guitar player, drummer, whatever it is. My thing is about building other people. I see the joy in this man's face every Sunday. He comes prepared. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I'll come in prepared. And he's ready to serve. Even though sometimes you can't hear it in the monitors, but it doesn't faze him. Doesn't faze him. Right, John? Doesn't faze him. That's one thing you gotta remember. Don't ever worry about the sound. Meaning the sound system. Because you're gonna have those little hiccups. All of a sudden something that a monitor blows or whatever. Just serve. God will take care of the rest. Because see, it's about these seats. It's about the people right here. And leading them into that moment. Okay? So anyways, why don't we sit down, we'll take a couple notes. I'm going to go over a couple real quick things, and then we'll get in and show you how all this stuff kind of works today. Oh, that was really cool, man. Thanks, Ed. Very nice. Mood music. Okay, so we're going to go into a couple things today. I'll be ready for the PowerPoint in a little bit. I'll let you know. Just a couple quick housekeeping things, and I'll wait a moment so you can edit this out. So I'll give you like a 4-second roll. If you need to use the restrooms or anything, they're just right around the corner here from where those books are in the bookcase. Okay, we will take a short little break here in a little bit so I can take care of my lovely nose. My wife kept saying I was having nose reduction surgery. Isn't that really lovely? She's crazy. Okay, so real quick here, we've kind of gotten into this already. We talked about our role to serve. First and foremost, we're serving God, right? We also want to serve in my case, my campus pastor, okay? And we also want to serve the people that are coming, okay? want to ascertain the vision of the church/campus. Again, this depends on where you're serving. You might be here at the main campus or might be one of our growing satellite campuses. And the pastor, in order to achieve and drive the vision. In our case here at Cathedral of Faith, we have these multiple campuses that we're growing all around the Bay Area. And each campus has its own vision, its own thing. Santa Cruz is different from Morgan Hill's needs. Each community that the campus is in has a different need. So that's why I say part of our role here is to achieve and to drive what the vision is of that particular campus. But in addition also to what the vision, the big vision and the big picture of what God wants to do and what he's deposited on the leadership here at the main campus. Does that make sense? So we want to make sure that we keep renewed and refreshed, okay? And this is something that even myself, I have to work on consistently. And a couple of those things are daily time with God, be devoted in prayer, and you can reference Colossians 4:2-6 speaks of that. We want to make sure that we're always serving God, not man. Avoid burnout, divert daily, withdraw weekly, abandon annually. Make your ministry goal for changed lives. That's why I spend a lot of time on here doing editing and stuff like that. Because you could hear when we were doing a little bit of the beginning part of Breakthrough, I was not playing much. I was using a couple notes here. We'll talk about theme lines and stuff in a little bit when we get back to that. Okay? Little things like that set that moment. A note you play in between a couple words, or you may have a couple measures, or sorry, not a couple measures, a couple beats before the next part of a verse or a chorus, might be that one little thing that hits Susan in row 4, and all of a sudden, tears are because God, in that moment, you don't know, okay? That's why we're talking about it, and it was, thank you, Cedric, for that illustration where the less is more, and we did the example where we're just all playing all over, all topic. No, that's not what it's about, okay? It's about the people. Take care of your body, obviously. I know we all struggle with that, with good Italian bread and all. I'm hungry, so. And take care of your relationships, your family, your children, even in the workplace wherever you work. Okay, always keep that in mind. You can reference Hebrews 12:1-3 on that. Always ask, is the congregation connecting to God? See, we're kind of like the tour guide for them. We're setting up that whole day. Okay, when they come in, and one of the cool things we're starting to do now down at Morgan Hill is every so often, service starts at 10 o'clock. We'll start, 6 minutes before Hitman? Something like that? Like tomorrow we're going to, and we're just going to start into a worship time. So as they walk in, they're already starting to enter into that presence right away before we go in and boom, kick it into high gear and off we go. And sometimes we might just sit right there. Worship doesn't always have to be, ooh, we're going to start with this fast song and da-da-da-da-da and do one or two of them. Da-da. You can mix and match it any which way you want. Sometimes you may want to start with the worship time because maybe people just need to kind of strip away that stuff that's on their shoulders when they walk. You don't know you don't know what people are, different burdens they have as they walk in that door. You don't know what happened to them 5 minutes before they walked in the door or earlier that week. Okay? And again, our key point is to usher, so I'll put this here. I have it written a couple different ways, so you'll probably want to write this down. Key point is to usher in the presence of Jesus. And what we do needs to support the worship leader and to allow the Spirit to enter in. It's not you, it's God. Okay? Our role, our worship experience is on our time. Quiet time, preparation, prayer time, so on and so forth. On the platform, it's for the people to experience the moment. Okay? So, how are we doing on time so far? Are we okay?
Yeah, it's like 2:05.
Okay, good. I'm going to zip ahead a little bit so we can get into some of this here. I'll be ready for the PowerPoint in about another minute. This is something that I put together, I shared with our team. and I actually was asked to kind of write something a while back about the Morgan Hill campus, about where our hearts are in praise and worship. And I call this the we, not the me. It's like a purpose statement, basically. And what I wrote is, our purpose and desire at Cathedral Faith Morgan Hill is not to build a company of spectators, but rather a team of ministry partners who are all about seeing lives transformed because of the we, not the me. Our goal is to celebrate the success of others rather than our own success, so that in our service, Jesus will be glorified. That's kind of our purpose and our role down there, and how we look at it as a team. Okay? All right, we'll go ahead and go to the PowerPoint real quick. I'll kind of fly through this just so we can get into the meat and potatoes of all that fun stuff down there that I showed you guys. So whenever you're ready, the first part we're going to get into, and you can go ahead, yeah, there you go, right there, is that the worship is? Perfect. Worship is. I kind of gave you the answers. I was going to have this as an open discussion, but that's okay. Worship is conversation with God. Worship is one's expression. Worship means feel in the heart. Worship is celebration. Worship is an offering. I'm sure you guys could come up with a whole list of different things of what worship means to you. That's just 5. See, what's cool is every single person here today, the Lord has gifted each one of us here with a gift and a talent so great and so powerful that it's the core and fiber, or in other words, the Holy Spirit that's working in us. Most important thing that God wants us to do is to serve, and that's illustrated in Romans 11:29. For God's gifts and his call are irrevocable. And this is what I refer to as talent, a call to service. Now we talk about preparation. Go to the next slide. And I kind of took the word prepare and made it, what does that called, an acrostic? Is that what it is when you take the first letter of a word? Yeah. So I break down prepare is practice and review everything presented at rehearsal every day. So I don't know how long you guys' rehearsals are. Ours are anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. It just depends on what we're doing that given week. But part of your preparation process for a Sunday morning, or if it's a Wednesday night, if you're playing on a Wednesday night team, a Thursday night team, a Sunday night, whatever it is, you want to make sure you practice. Part of the practicing is what we're going to kind of get into in a little bit about your effects and how you play your instrument to support the team as a whole. Besides that, you want to take quiet time daily. I take quiet time on Sunday morning, pray during the week, and be in the Word. And you see there 1 Peter 1:13. Therefore, prepare your minds for action. See, all of that is preparing your mind, but it's also preparing your gift as a guitar player, okay? Prepare your minds for action. Be self-controlled. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given to you when Jesus Christ is revealed. And then down below, as you see, we talk about being prepared musically. So it's talking about your heart and musically. Brooklyn Tab, back in New York City. Very, very, very big and dynamic choir, orchestra, the whole bit. Years and years and years back, their bass player retired from his job and he moved to Florida to enjoy the Sunshine State and all that stuff. So they needed a new bass player. They auditioned 11 bass players. And they broke it down, most gifted to, as far as skill set, this and that, how they read charts, so on and so forth. Number 1 was the top skill guy. Number 11 was the least skilled individual. Take a guess who they picked. I'll tell you, it was not 1 or 11. Take a guess. You said 10?
5.
Hitman? Bingo. He's the big winner today. They took number 7. And you want to know why? It's because of the first one right there, his heart. The reason why they did that was because of the person's heart, how they looked at serving. They can teach how to read a chart a little better. They can pour into him and give him tools and different things. But that's what they looked at from number 1 to number 11. But they took number 7 because of that man's heart. Being prepared musically, quickly, we'll go through that. Make sure you pull your worship set prior to Sunday morning. I don't know how you guys do it. If you have a note, I have like a 5-inch thick, what we've got 5-inch thick notebooks now down there in Morgan Hill. Okay, make sure you have everything ready to go. Be ready to pray and play at the designated time. Be instrument and vocal ready before practice and on Sunday. Listen and study to any new music. Now, each team's different, how their leader assigns music, how far out they do it. Typically, if I'm going to do something new, I like to get it out a week or 2 ahead of time before we're even going to practice it for a first time so people can start listening to it. And I find that very important. Again, not only for what you're going to do on guitar, but you want to get the understanding of what that song is, the message and the meaning of that song, whatever, say it's a Michael W. Smith song. God deposited that song and those words of that song and the meaning of that song into his heart to minister to other people. So when I hear a new song or whatever, I'll listen to it a handful of times before I even touch that or work on a vocal part or anything, because I want to understand what's going on in this song. There's a girding there, there's a message there. Then from there, I'll start working on my part and this and that. And how is it, we'll do it a little differently with our group and do whatever, but how is it that we take what was written and how is it that we're going to convey that so again, the presence of Jesus can be ushered in and touch those people that come on Sunday morning. So that's one way that I prepare, especially with new music, okay? Down there in the blue, kind of towards the bottom down there, I kind of got cut off a little bit, that's okay. This is very important. Make notations on your music. Very, very important. Because see, when you know that chart in and out, and you know what you're going, and sometimes a lot of my notations, I don't think I have any here. I used to have a different effects system before this one. But what I used to do, is different parts of the songs, I might use a different patch in the verse versus the chorus. So, and then with the guitar, depending if the button's up or button down or which position, I had all these little like directions, effect number 12, POS for position 4, and then an arrow if I wanted that pop-up thing up or if I wanted it down. So I had a little notation, so I knew, so when I would quickly look and we're getting ready to change, oh, okay, we're doing that, and I'm moving, getting ready for that next song. Very important you have that. So then as you transition from song to song, you just go real smooth. Very, very, very important. And then if the band director wants any certain little things, or like we use both band charts as well as like 1-page or 2-page charts with the chords and words. Like the Jesus Culture song tomorrow has a little guitar riff. Well, I found something that's just chords and words, so I hand wrote what that opening line is. So it's right there, it's notated, and then I go, oh, okay, I know what we're doing with the little half notes, quarter notes, whatever it is. I look, oh, patch such and such. Oh, okay, got it. Off I go. Then you can be released to worship yourself. Okay? So notations are very, very important. Okay, next slide here real quick. We already talked about that. That's the new materials. Yeah, so we'll go to the next slide. So I want to get into okay. Listening is very important. Okay? I hear it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Very first key point, learn to listen to yourself. Learn to listen to yourself. And when I refer to that, this is why I was saying earlier about the monitors in the house, why I key in on hearing myself in the house, because I want to make sure I'm not being overbearing as a guitar player because we have all the cool stuff. Us and the keyboard guy. Okay. So sometimes you can get a little carried away and you're just blowing out the singers and everything. The message is from the words of the song. We're there to support them. That's why I really depend on the house more than a monitor. Again, this is just my personal preference. I do not use a monitor. Period. I don't. With the exception of when I play at the main campus. Because it's all preset and everything like that. Our situation down at our campus, we have to set everything up and tear everything down every week and store it away. Okay? I personally, I want to hear myself, but I want to hear the house because I want to hear that blend, and I also like to hear the ambience of the room because what really gets me fired up when I'm leading worship is them worshiping. I want to hear the ambience of that entire room, of how they're worshiping, because when I'm in the leadership role, and Cedric can attest to this, or any of us who lead worship, that's the good gauge whether or not his presence is moving, if his Holy Spirit's moving, or what you need to do. Very, very, very important. So you want to listen to yourself, but you notice I have while learning to listen to each other more. Very, very, very important. Very important. Because not only you're listening to yourself to make sure you're not too loud, you're not too this, that you're supporting whatever's going on, but you also have to have the ability to listen to everybody else, the whole rest of the team. As guitar players, this is very important because some of you may have more than one guitar player on your team. You don't both want to be playing a first position A chord. You got to color it differently. And a lot of times you have a keyboardist also. So you have 3 people playing an A chord. So what are you going to do, depending if you're playing acoustic or electric, to still play that A chord but voice it differently, use the effect differently, or maybe arpeggiate or use a couple of the notes of the chord, all sorts of different things to differentiate what you're doing. The best example is when we did Easter a couple years ago here. Cedric was on acoustic guitar, Janine and myself were on electric. And all we did was listen to each other and kind of, oh, okay, she's doing this, he's doing this, okay. So I may play all high position. I may play 12th fret up or 10th fret up. And then do something with an effect or something. To do something a little bit different. Because you want each part to be distinct. You don't have 2 bass players, 2 drummers on. But a lot of times you may have 2 guitar players, you may have 2 keyboardists. Me personally, if I had 4 guitar players, that's a dream. 4 guitar players, 2 keyboards. So anyways, listen to yourself while listening to each other more and learning to listen to band and vocals all together. That's when you put it all together, okay? Does that make sense? Very, very, very important. Be fully engaged. When you're fully engaged, you can step into any worship team. It's not a big deal. What I mean is, what my second point is, within 2 minutes, stepping into any team, if you're fully engaged, knowing what you're doing, you got this thing set, you've reviewed your music or whatever, okay? Then at that point, and you're listening, like we talked about, your main thing is, how is it that leader? Because Cedric leads differently than I do. I lead differently than our other worship leader, Stefan. We all have different styles. Vaughn Thompson and Irene Thompson, they're both worship leaders here, husband and wife. He leads different than she does. I can walk into any setting because I have all this pre-done. And just go, okay. Within a couple minutes, you know exactly how it is they're going to kind of approach it, so on and so. Again, that's all part of being fully engaged in everything you do, taking the time to prepare. And I just kind of gave you a list of some different people that I've dealt with over the years. Theron Books, Jerry Watts, that's Tommy Walker's bass player. When I go to the Philippines, sometimes I'm leading worship, other times it's another worship leader. Now you're 10,000 miles away. you're sweating like crazy because it's always 90 degrees and 90% humidity. And you're hoping that because it's open air, they're churches. So when the wind kicks up and it starts raining on your equipment. Yeah, it's pretty scary. But it's awesome, awesome. You need to be, yeah, go ahead.
When I work with Mark over there, I have an eye contact with him all the time.
Here, go ahead.
'Cause- Jeez, I don't have that.
Yeah. You're the star.
Okay, when I'm with Mark at the Morgan Hill, I always have eye contact. He's away from me, say over there, and I'm over here with the bass player. But I watch him a lot because of what he was saying about when he's playing up here on guitar. And I try to go down the bottom to. And we talked about this also, so I think it was a good point that he mentioned that because it came to mind. I would try not to play what he's playing. If he goes down here and our lead, then I play on top to give him a little fatter sound. So just like eye contact is good for me with him. So it makes me better even. So.
See, and he uses, he has, remember I talked about some people just use different pedals? That's how his system is. Wait, chorus, delay, reverb, distortion, tuner. So he has, so his sound is, and then he plays through an amp, a little Fender amp. Okay, now we both play through a Fender type guitar, but his effects setup is different. He's playing through an amp, so his whole sound is completely different. He has actually a very cool sound, very bluesy, and it also depends on the guitar he plays. Sometimes he uses a Fender, and again, this is being engaged. When he looks, and this is what's so great, because when he comes to rehearsal Monday night, he may have his Fender, but was it this past week? Yeah, this past Monday at rehearsal, he came in with his 335 Gibson. That's a, you guys know B.B. King? That kind of guitar. Completely different sound, more of a bluesy jazz Holloway sound. And then he has a full-blown hollow body jazz guitar. Sometimes he comes, but see, he's engaged because we get the music ahead of time, like we were talking about. He practices it. He goes, I'm going to use this guitar this week because of what we're doing. It's this tone with what I have, meaning him, is going to lend itself to that particular week's songs, as opposed to having two Fenders. Okay? Make sense? That's him being engaged. Okay? Thank you for your input. Again, at the bottom you see there, what we talked about earlier, the pregame versus God is the game. We're the pregame. They hate me after the Super